Four-wheel drive used to be the preserve of off-roaders, big, heavy mud pluggers, about as glamorous as a wet weekend. But in 1980, Audi broke the mould by fitting a sophisticated sports coupe with a four-wheel drive system. The Audi Quattro was born. Today, Audi are a proper prestige brand that can hold their head up with BMW and Mercedes, and it was this car that helped get them there. You see, before the Quattro, Audi were well known for making solid, dependable, but ever so dull saloons. When the Quattro was launched, all that changed. It stunned the motoring world and changed their image overnight. Audi was never the same again. The performance Audis that followed have taken the spotlight off this original car. But let me tell you, if you're looking for a real affordable classic, this car must not be ignored. And the best news is, you don't need a load of money. Just £7,000 will get you a tidy, high-mileage example. And let me tell you, that's not a lot of money for this amount of car. The big coupe shape was a breakthrough at the time. Now, you either love or loathe the flying brick design. But personally, I like the chunky lines and muscular arches as designed by Brit Martin Smith. The engine is a 10-valve 2.1 litre, which doesn't sound particularly impressive. It's got a couple of interesting features. One, it's a 5-cylinder, which gives it a beautifully charismatic engine note. Secondly, it's got an enormous turbo. Now, there's plenty of turbo lag, but that's just the calm before the storm. Put your foot down, and oh boy, above 3,000 revs does this baby go. The performance figures: 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, and the Quattro tops out at nearly 140 miles an hour. Good numbers now, even after 20-odd years. Remember also that this car was as expensive to buy in its day as a Porsche 911, and it was streets ahead in terms of braking, traction and road holding. The Quattro really did redefine what a sports car could do. To start with, the driving style does seem slightly brutal. It's a funny feeling. You put your foot down, nothing much happens, then suddenly, whoosh, the power comes in a huge bolt and it pushes you back into the seat. And then you go for another gear and you find that the gear shift is a bit clunky and uncooperative, and the clutch takes a little bit of getting used to too. But this is one of those cars that demands you concentrate and learn its ways. And once you've done that, you can drift along quite nicely and really get to enjoy the performance, and more importantly, the fantastic handling. It's no surprise that this car was a World Rally superstar. In the 1980s, this car really did set the benchmark for drivers' cars. It didn't seem to understeer, it didn't seem to oversteer, it just gripped, gripped, gripped. Is it any wonder that people used to say that this car could defy the laws of physics? The Quattro's USP is the way the four-wheel drive system puts the power onto the road. It does take a bit of getting used to, though. It feels a bit slow turning in, and then you think it's going to oversteer, but it doesn't. It just hangs on in there. Perhaps you remember the 80s TV ad for the Quattro. A whole family were off on a skiing trip, a role for which the car is absolutely ideal. It's got 4 big seats, a sombre but comfy interior, and a decent boot. It's solidly built too. It's galvanised so it shouldn't rust, but do look out for badly repaired crash damage. You can pick up one of these cars cheaply. A tidy 10-valve will cost you about £7,000, a mint 20-valve more like 15. But that doesn't tell the whole story. If you're unlucky and it goes wrong, you could be looking at very big bills. Servicing, including replacing a turbo or a clutch, is a lot of cash. And if the four-wheel drive system goes west, there'll be tears before bedtime. So don't buy one without getting it checked out by a specialist. Now, not many cars deserve legendary status, but this one definitely does. It single-handedly changed the way that we think about performance cars. It introduced four-wheel drive to the mass market and superb levels of road holding in all weathers to a B-road near